And like I said, who wants to go first?
I would love to go first and then be done.
Okay, John, go for it. Tell us what you got in mind. Okay, yeah, I know a little bit because I talked to John already. So,
Before I say anything, while I have Doug Scott's here, I want to thank Doug Scott for showing us Disquiet Junto because I've participated in some of their projects and I felt like it has been very beneficial to my artistic practice.
Fantastic. Yeah, I don't know if I would have survived as a creative artist had I not had that to kind of drag me along for a couple of years. So I'm very happy to hear that.
Yeah, I haven't been doing the last like month of projects because I started working on like some own projects that I've been wanting to do. But for a span of like a month and a half, I did them every week because I couldn't motivate myself to do anything else. So they really did like make me make work until I was productive enough to make work on my own again.
That's great. The rest of you should do it too. It's really fun.
yeah, right. Hey, Nicola, just to let you know, I'm recording this, but when you come to do your presentation, if you'd rather it not be recorded, just let me know and I'll turn it off, okay?
Oh yeah, but it's fine. But can you understand me properly?
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, Ethernet adapter, and I'm a little worried about my Wi-Fi.
Actually, I was
But you say
understanding.
it's fine.
Well, it was until I interrupted you, and then you started like getting freaked out a little bit. But by and large, it's pretty good. So, yeah. Oops. Okay. Yeah, we'll burn this bridge when we get to it. But anyhow, John offered to go first. So, John Lee, take it away.
All right, I have not a project that I've even started yet to share with you guys, but I have an idea for a project that I desperately need feedback on because I have absolutely no idea how to do it, but I think that the things we've been talking about in this class might be the answer. So a collaborator of mine and I were sitting around talking about projects we might like to pursue. And we had this idea to do sort of a revamped 21st century version of Marianne Amichet's City Links, where we don't have the exact idea of how the project will look when we're done, but we're thinking that the technology, that as we discover how we might be able to do it, that will shape the way that the final product ends up looking. But on a very vague level, we want to take some sort of natural space, like a field in a state park, or we were specifically thinking about some marsh area in a national wildlife area near where we live. And spread an array of microphones in a grid over the space, and then stream them to a different space. And it would probably end up being modular, so we could put it in a gallery space, or a parking lot, or a parking garage, or someone's yard, etc. But the idea could end up taking one or two routes. My idea was to have, so the microphones in the field would be set up in a grid, and then in the new space, the gallery space or wherever it was, you could set up an array of speakers that was to scale with the microphone grid. And in that way, if you have a microphone transmitting a live signal and a speaker playing it back, and the speakers are placed in the same array as the microphones, you'd be able to walk through the gallery space, and the soundscape would be as if you were walking through the field. My collaborator's idea was the same kind of idea, but slightly shifted. And it was that the speaker array would be fixed around the listener. And that by panning through the channels of audio in the microphone array, you'd be able to transport the listener through the field without them actually moving. For both of these ideas, one of the key aspects would be, how do we take an array of microphones laid out in a field and stream them to another location so that they're all in time with each other? Because if the idea is that you're moving through the space, all of these microphone feeds have to be synced up with each other in real time, or else the motion would be all wonky and you wouldn't get the effect if, let's say, a group of cranes or some other bird were flying overhead. If all the audio feeds were synced up, you would be able to hear them move through the space the same way they're flying through the air. But if all of the audios were like, a second apart, the cranes would like jump around. So it's integral that we get all of these feeds synced up with each other. And when we saw the Miller-Puckett's presentation for Nettie McNetface and Quack Trip, that seemed like the answer to me. So the best idea I have so far to test out would be we're going to start with like a small array of microphones, say 4 microphones and 4 speakers. And my idea would be to run like physical cabling from the 4 microphones to an audio interface and a laptop that is set up in the field. And then somehow with Max or PD, sync them up with each other and then use Quack Trip to take that synced up stream of audio and stream it in real time to the gallery, where there'd be another laptop set up connected to the speakers. I haven't done a lot of testing so far to figure out how well this would work, if it's possible, if Quack Trip is the right tool, but basically it just seems like it might be the right tool. And I was hoping that you guys might have some ideas of how this may work out or not work out. And then just additionally, to take it a step farther, Brad and I were also talking about the possibilities of putting this into VR so that, for instance, if the person is stationary in like a quadraphonic array of speakers, they could, in the VR environment, like teleport with the controller and walk through the space and virtually access all of these different like microphones and virtual points of sound emission.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in here because I've talked to John a little bit about this, and I'm particularly interested in the last thing that he described. It's also a good way to kind of mock it up and test it out. And in fact, it turns out it wouldn't be that difficult to do in Unity with the RT-CMix package, because you can have easily multiple points. And this is where it differs from a lot of the VR immersive audio experience, is that they're usually taking data from, say, a multi microphone array that's like the single person that walks through the area that you're in. This would be, like John said, trying to recreate the entire sort of sound field. In fact, that's one of the things I told him to look up, is this thing called wave field synthesis, which aims to duplicate the sound waveform that comes into you. It's usually done with a horizontal array, but this is intriguing because he's kind of like two-dimensionalizing that. In fact, I think it's such a cool idea that next semester, like you kind of gathered, I'm going to be teaching Unity and RT-CMix, and hopefully taking some of the things that we talked about this semester and building them in, so that we can have kind of like an audio version of maybe Lara's shared worlds or something. But I can easily imagine how I would try to do this, and I think I'll make that one of the classes, is to kind of say, here's this project, let's see what we can do with it. Again, do something simple, like just with 4 mics initially or something like that, and see what kind of happens. So yeah, I think, and again, this is kind of goes to the point where I said, the purpose of this class is to inspire you to continue to think. If you've got a project done now, cool, but if you want to take what we've done here and then employ it, that's cool too. So yeah, anybody else have any comments about this? Because I think it's going to be, it's an idea that's been done, but it hasn't been done quite like this. And I think there's some very intriguing aspects to it. Yeah.
I have just a small comment. I don't have any thoughts on technical execution for it because I'm pretty lost on how one would carry out the synchronicity of all of that technologically. But with regards to what you said, your collaborator's idea where the listener themselves don't have to physically move, but through sort of planar panning between the array of microphone signals, you could create the illusion of movement through the space, removed from the space. I just wanted to comment that I think that that's really cool, and I think that moving through landscape physically or sonically is a really interesting way to think about articulating musical form. And it's something that I have found a lot of sort of poetic inspiration from thinking about. And the idea of doing it with technology somewhat literally, where it's like a actual landscape but recording or live feed recordings of sounds, is very stimulating to me as an idea. So I think that's pretty cool.
It's worth throwing out there also that an alternative piece of technology I was investigating was called Sonus Locus or something like that. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but it's basically a website that Jonathan Harris showed me. I don't know if you guys know him, but he obviously Brad does. He's nodding. But they have a map, and there's little microphones on the map, and they're all like little live broadcasting field recordings that people have an app on their phone, and it just transmits whatever's coming through their phone, and you can tune in on the map and just listen to what people are broadcasting. And it's mostly just like rivers and field recordings and that sort of thing. But they have a PD object where you can take your stream off the app and import it into PD. So even though it would be using like these awful phone audio, like phone microphones, I think it would be an interesting way to test and just see if I can get Quack Trip to work the way I want it to, being that the phone, they have that PD object to get that audio right into PD.
Cool. No, I think it's going to be fun. I think it's a project we can definitely follow up on. Have some.
Brad, are you familiar with the Lime Kiln State Park hydrophone feed?
Yes.
Up in your area? I
Yeah.
tune into that every once in a while. I was up there this summer, but that idea, John, of a localized live feed of sound, which they have this for video too, like like the Eagle's Nest cam or whatever at different zoos and things like that. There's this hydrophone in the Harrow Strait up where Brad is located right now.
You can hear the orcas, yeah.
And you can hear the orcas. And there's a Facebook group called San Juan Islands Orca Watching Group or whatever, and people are obsessed with it and on it all the time. And like every I don't know, few hours, someone will post like, sounds like there's a humpback on the hydrophone right now, and you can go tune in and listen to it in real time. It's pretty cool.
I love that. I love that too. And that's also where, the idea of being able to create your own internet radio station, I've got some plans for doing that. And it was thanks to this class that I figured out how to do it, So yeah, I think we might be able to somehow try to modify that, John, and, make your thing kind of like a ubiquitous broadcast of some kind. But that's in the future. Okay.
Arton asks if there's a link for that.
Yeah. Joshua, can you look it up?
I'm digging it up right now.
Okay,
yeah.
Great.
There's a similar project that is happening in Australia, but it's not a constant live feed. It's like every Monday at 10 p.m. she goes live and does an hour's worth of whatever river is near her house.
Yeah.
I can attempt to find that link also, but I don't know how successful I'll be because it was a while ago that I heard about it.
Plus, it's clear in Australia. That was a joke. Okay. Who wants to go next? Anybody else got something I want to throw out?
If anyone has feedback on how I might make this project work, you are free to email me through look me up in the Columbia, whatever the directory is called.
Who's next? Okay, David. All right. You want me to turn off the recording, right?
Yeah, if you could turn off the recording.
Sure, I'm just going to pause it here.
So that the computer could identify the difference between two sounds. And I ended up with a tech demo that I can show you. And by the way, so how I test this is that if if Max hears one sound, if Max hears the breathing, it plays one speech sample. And if it hears the machine, it plays another speech sample. And this is purely to test. It's not really like an artistic thing, but just as the test tech demo, let's say. So the samples are just these. I will just share my sound very quickly. Let's see how I can do this. Yeah, I think you see the video now, right? And I'll say share computer sound. So before starting the video, I'll just play the sound samples first. This is the convolution that works with breathing sound, the computer speaks this phrase.
I am now breathing into the microphone. I am now using the electric shaver.
So these are the two samples. Like if it recognizes breathing, it works with this sample, and if it recognizes the electric shaver, it works with the other sample. And so here's how it ended up working.
Breathing into the microphone. Now breathing into the microphone. I am now using the electric shaver. I am now using the electric shaver. Now breathing into the microphone. I am now breathing into the. I am now using the electric shaver. I am now breathing into the microphone.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. Maybe it's already done, even this machine learning that recognizes sounds, but
I haven't seen it. That's wonderful. I really, really got to kick that. There's so much possibility with this cartoon. Oh my God,
yeah.
this is great.
Also, I mean, it looks like the analysis is quite fast. Like, how long does it take for it to recognize the sound? Like, I couldn't quite tell, but it looked quite fast.
Yeah, that was the main intention, that it immediately reacted to it, and it worked that way. I mean, the system is definitely wonky. I would have to work on it a bit more, but Wakinator was surprisingly adequate with recognizing, perhaps because there are such static sounds, like both breathing and the machine, it's like static amplitude, static, everything. So it works well with this noise stuff.
I would love to play David Farrow's video for it and have the poor thing going, I'm now breathing electric razors, because the thing would get totally messed up. Yeah, this is really impressive. Yeah, I think you can do a lot with this cartoon.
Did you use the dynamic time warping type for?
I just trained Wakinator once for each sound, and what I sent to Wakinator as inputs were through the fiddle object in Max. I sent it like 10 or 20, I don't remember, partials and amplitudes of those partials. And I'm sure it wouldn't work great with every sound, but these were the first two sounds I worked with, and they ended up working, so I didn't push it any further.
Yeah, interestingly enough, you generally don't even need that many partials sometimes to do sort of sound categorization. I know this from one of my colleagues here at Columbia was back in the early days when you guys probably don't remember Napster or any of that, when, this big thing happened where all of a sudden all music was free on the internet. Companies, they were doing a contract for NEC, and they were trying to like go around, and they built a web crawler to try to find illegal like downloads and stuff like that. And what they did was they used FFTs with only 8 partials and window sizes of like a second or more. And they were able to differentiate the sounds. So you don't necessarily have to have complete, 1024 point FFTs or anything. You can do it with very limited numbers and it'll still do the categorization. Cool though. That's very impressive.
Thanks.
All righty. Who's next?
Maybe I can go next. And in case there's a problem with my internet and you don't understand me, please tell me, and then maybe someone else can take over and I will find a different solution for my internet. It's a little bit like coming in and out.
Yeah, it's funny because you're fine for a while, but then all of a sudden you kind of stretch out a little bit. So I think we'll get most of it though. Keep going.
Okay. Yeah, let me know when it's too bad, then somebody else should jump in and I will find a different solution. Okay. So what I did, or what I want to talk about, is a project that I did during this semester, which was an octet with 4 human musicians and 4 robots. And basically the task for me was like how to make the robots improvise. The robots that we were using are robots, I will show you quickly their website, built by the Logos Foundation in Ghent. I will show you here. This is you can see my screen, right? Yeah, this is the catalog of robots. They're all built by Gottfried Wilhelm Reis. He has been building these robots since the 1970s. And well, I guess some of you might know his robots, some might not, I don't know. but I've definitely seen these robots around different festivals in Europe for some time, since a lot of people are working with him to realize compositions for robotic instruments. And yeah, so I was very glad when this chance opened up, and I was given the task to develop the software for this ensemble to make it work. I will show you some images from the setup on stage. Yeah, let me share my screen again. No, sorry. Once again. So this was taking place in Cologne in Germany. There's a church that is often used for contemporary music concerts. Actually, the church organ was partly engineered by Karl-Heinz Stockhausen. And what you can see here is basically the setup on the stage. So here is an instrument that is called Vitello. It's a percussion robot. This here is a bell instrument called tubo. Here's a disc clavier, and there you will see there's another instrument behind here. And this is where the bass player is standing, Sebastian Grams, and here's the piano player, Philipp Zubeck. Here's myself with guitar and computer, and over here it's Lotte Anker on saxophone. And yeah, so this is the instrument you were not seeing. This is a heliophone. Honestly, before I was working with them, I didn't even know heliophones existed. So it's basically like a lower euphonium. So it's really fascinating to see this instrument. Also, it is working with some sort of, you could say, transducer device. It's not playing the instrument with air. It's an incredible construction. And so this is basically the setup. There is also a video of the concert, but we didn't get down to really being able to develop the video yet, but I will show you some of the recording of the concert. So this is basically the setup. I want to talk about the Max patch, which I was using for this concert for a little bit, so that you have a way of understanding what's actually going on. So what I was interested in developing this is really to think about how to utilize feedback and not work with any pre-programmed musical material, and how to work with the sound of audio to MIDI algorithms. So I was using different algorithms. Fiddle is amongst them. Analyzer, well, it's also working with Fiddle. I'm using the partials of that. Some algorithms from the ZSA descriptors in Max and a couple of other ones. And what I was interested in is to either change these algorithms myself as we were playing, or to also have the software change the algorithms. So basically, I can turn parts of the software into really full-on like self-control, or have some hands in there at some point. But really, basically, the idea is you have these 4 robots, and there is 8 instruments on stage. And it is not that every robot is listening to every player at the same time. And this is being changed during the performance. You can really see that if you basically work with the feedback that comes out of, let's say, the robot getting an input from the saxophone signal, and that's being transformed and being played on the robot instrument, and this whole thing goes back into the mics. Basically, what you're getting is a feedback that is really dependent on how you filter it, and also on how, so basically where's the threshold, and also how do I filter the MIDI output. So basically it can also switch between different the octaves, roots and scales and so forth. And so this is sort of, let's say, the mode in which I'm really only interested in filtering feedback. And then on the other hand, we have a part here. John, you saw this yesterday already, partly when I was talking about another thing. So what I'm using here basically is the possibility to record every musician. You see this has 4 inputs. I could also have the robots record themselves. So basically audio material is recorded into a corpus of audio material. There is a male frequency analysis happening on this corpus, and then there's a KNN analysis that will build, how to say, ein Durchschnitt, like a, how to say, a product from this. And this is compared to the incoming audio signal. And I've been using this idea to be able to record myself while I'm playing, and have the Max Patch learn how I play and respond back to me with my own material. And also, like, partly it listening to me playing, but I can also shut it off and basically record my material, but it's only listening to itself playing. It's not even listening to myself anymore. And so I'm basically really interested with this in exploring different ways of how to control communication, and of how really by channeling who is listening to whom, to develop the dynamics of the musical interaction. And yeah, I guess really this idea of working with feedback and with filtering feedback, and in this sense here with this part also with in a sense a learning feedback, is sort of what I was really interested in with this project. And definitely for me the goal was to get to some point where we're listening to this whole thing as an octet. So I didn't want to have like humans here and robots here. I really wanted the audience to hear an octet. That's what was the aim of this project. And I will play some of the recording from the concert, and then yeah, judge for yourself if you think we got somewhere with this. I will jump into the middle a little bit. So the whole performance is, how long is it? Yeah, it's 45 minutes. So I will jump somewhere into the middle where things have started. Okay, so this, what you're hearing there right in the beginning, is the horn instrument that I was showing you, the Helio, it is called. I will jump to another part. Wait, I'm looking for, because the disc clavier, we prepared the disc clavier, and I'm looking for this part where it has a duo of the prepared piano and prepared disc clavier. 1 second.
Nicola, is that you playing guitar?
Yeah, that's me playing guitar.
Whoa, I'm impressed, dude. You were really shredding there.
Thanks. Yeah, I think that's the moment. So what you're hearing is really prepared piano and prepared disc clavier production. You see now the heliophone is coming back in, but really basically the idea for organizing the group is also to make something happen that, I mean, you would normally want to have with an octet, which is not everybody is playing the whole time. So that was sort of a challenge to organize that also. Looking a little bit for the end part here. 1 sec. So this is a duo now of saxophone and tubular bells. Yeah, so that's basically, I mean, it's a long piece. I should maybe say that there was no structure for this. So this is really a octet improvisation. There's no composition beforehand.
Wow, that's really impressive. Yeah, I just want to say also, Nicola, one of the things that we're going to be picking up on next semester. Yeah, bravo. It's a lovely piece. I can't wait to hear the final version when you get it all done. I hope you can send a link and I'll get it out to the class too. Okay, if you put it online.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Nicola's interested in doing kind of telepresence stuff, which is a thing that I want to pick up with the VR stuff next semester with what we've talked about here too. because I think that'll be fun. Listen, we're gonna have to move along though, because I suddenly realized we're gonna run out of time if we're not careful. Let's see who wants to go next, and maybe try and limit your presentations to 10 minutes or less at this point, if that's okay. Okay, Anthony, you want to go? Can't hear you. I still can't hear you.
His presentation very much has to do with the interfacing of these online Zoom interfaces. So he perhaps has that screwed up.
No. I think I got
there you
it.
Are. You got
yeah.
it now. I hear you.
Great. But if there are video or audio issues that come up at any point, just let me know.
Yeah, already.
And
you're currently way too much gain, very clipping, crunchy.
Yeah, actually, it sounded like it was a bandwidth problem, but I'm not sure if that's intentional or.
No, I don't think. Let me. Oh, I think I see. There we go. Okay. Well, so what I've been kind of playing around with is kind of inspired about this taking on the Zoom interface and then breaking it. There is a lot of play that I've been playing around with, and then just also
realizing how
that liveness is something we are living with
very presently, but I haven't seen people break it enough, you know?
But so it's just
Mostly just play that I wanted to.
play around with here. So if I
Hey, I'm up here.
and now I'm down here, your basic
Sort of just snap, I need to snap. And I think no one really embodies a break in the system.
Like our own Brad Garten size
Playing around
with some randomization
and chaotic systems.
The network stream of anything get stuff out work. No. Anything is for classes on stream up work. Anything is for the stream it up classes open. Network classes open. Anything is fair game. Stream it up. Anything is fair game. The network, no. The class is open. The network. The class is open. Get stuff out. No. The network. Get stuff out there. The class is over. Get stuff out. No. The network work. Get stuff out there. Stream it up. Work.
There's a lot of just very basic
Get stuff out. Stream it up. The network. Anything is fair game.
It's a matter of noise interactivity that I'm really trying to lock into, because there's a lot of opportunity to, I'm here just kind of playing around, showing a lot of the toys that I have been using to break the many Zoom meetings that I'm in, and how those video interfaces or video representations are reacting to sound. I wish this class were presented on Skype, because there are some facets to the Skype engine that allow for more specific control. But in the meantime, I can just grab the entire Zoom screen. And this patch here is playing with, if people turn off or on their Zoom screens, it should be, the pitch should react to those changes. A very basic patch, but still effective. I could just be listening to this while staring at a Zoom screen and hearing the changes. And I think that might be the extent of this here presentation I have for you.
I want to share that I think that the one you just had up where it changes based on people turning their screens on and off, I think you just struck like $1 million idea to sell to like public school systems, that like it plays an alarm for the teacher when someone turns off their video to like alert them like, oh, little Anthony in 2nd grade turned off his video and now we have to punish him extensively because we're the public school system. But like, I think you hit like an actual commercial application with that last one.
Cha-ching.
Yeah, that was marvelous. Anthony, I'm going to put a link in the chat here, okay? Because I love this. You know, what the link is, I was asked to give the keynote address to the 2007 Australasian Computer Music Conference. And it was when I first became very sick and I could only do it from Colombia. And Luc Dubois came in and did the video processing. But if you watch it, you'll see it starts out exactly like you did, where it gradually gets really twisted. And I think that's just marvelous because you're kind of like playing with reality in a really fun way. So yeah, this is, I really enjoyed that. So, thanks. Cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see where, I'm going to change my audio so I'm not hearing myself. Oh, I can still hear myself. This is very upsetting.
Well, you made me see myself, so there.
There are, yeah, so what I was talking about in Skype, Skype is able to send discrete video and audio signals you're able to route them in the computer. So I was able to, so there's a lot of really nice interplay that can be done in that sort of system, which I am playing more on. I mean, yes, there are more complicated ways, like we were talking about with IP addresses and things like that, but using this sort of common, easy to download system and having one base computer to be the processor has been a very fun means of play.
Yeah, cool. All right. Again, we're going to move along here. Sorry to curtail discussion, but again, you guys can get in touch with Anthony if you want to ask him more. At some point, I'd like to see what your patches are and everything too, but that'll have to be in the future. Okay, Joshua, you want to go?
Yeah, I'd like to go ahead and get it over with so I can go inside because it's starting to get cold out here. So unfortunately, what I do have to present is not as digitally, technologically based as the whole center of this class has been. Although it is technologically based in somewhat a different way. I'll get into that. I've had some plans for a while to do something with Laura in her dollhouse project, but I don't know if you've been on the dollhouse since she presented in this class, but it has gotten crazy now. It's just turned into this like really complex network of so many different rooms and ideas and credits to people and things like that. So I thought that I'd leave some space in that to like cool down before I carry out the idea I have for that dollhouse. So instead, I'm going to quickly present on a project that I also presented on in Seth's class. So a little bit of an apology to those of you who have already seen it, but it has progressed a little bit since I last spoke to you all. So let's see if I share screen, sound. So I have some sound to share for this too, unlike last time. This was a project that was inspired by two things. One was reading about this sculpture by Adam Bazanta called Triad. And his sculpture is 3 stainless steel tubes where ends of the tubes are all at ear height, and the tubes are tuned to a major triad. And what he writes about it is it makes clear what the concept of my piece kind of is too. With the tube openings at head height, visitors can listen to the details of their surrounding environment through acoustic filters. Through this listening process, visitors may attend with increased sensitivity to familiar and mundane sounds, which are now transformed through a musical lens. The otherworldly, seemingly electronic musical quality of the pitched tones is nonetheless reliant on the environmental sounds for its existence. I really like that idea. And I discovered this page on his website right after helping clean the Computer Music Center and finding a giant plastic tube about the size of one of these, but made of plexiglass, in the speaker room. And I put my ear to it, and it sounded insane on the other side, just the sounds of my feet on the carpet and of Fiola in the room arranging speakers dutifully, as I should have been. And I decided that I wanted to do something with this. And a few weeks later, I came here to California, where I currently am, and decided to do something about that. So I purchased a large PVC tube, and my partner and I had plans to visit Joshua Tree National Park, which we did just this last weekend. And the idea was that I would do this project while we were there, because I was interested in recording these sounds, or recording the sounds of the wind and of plant and animal life there in particular, rather than city life here in LA. So bought a big tube. I made a custom foam thing to fit a microphone in the tube. You can barely see it there. I'm just using a stereo microphone at Audio-Technica 8022, just recording into my little Tascam field recorder, which is in my pocket there, and monitoring with earbuds for ease of travel. I made measurements and markings on the tube based on different rational and irrational tuning proportions, so that I could record sounds throughout the day and then go into a DAW. So that's the tube at almost full length there, me recording the wind at high altitude. And here's the tube later in the day, after I had cut it down significantly, recording at relatively low altitude. And we just moved around the park all day long and recorded different things. Where was I going with that? And so now I'm working in a DAW with all my different stems. Every track that's gray is just a wind sound, about 10 minutes of wind, and I adjust the lengths of those. Every track that's orange is the sounds of different textures. So I recorded myself holding the tube up and down and walking around, so you could hear the texture of the crunching gravel or dead plant life beneath my feet. Or I would do various actions on rocks and things like that. But the idea was to get the sounds of nature mediated through an analog technology, very, very crude technology of just plastic pipe, and tuned to harmonies that I had found interesting. So I can play you a short excerpt, I guess, of this still in progress thing. I'm not done mixing or even arranging, and this isn't the final form that I'm settled on, but I can play you a little bit of the beginning, and I will probably skip around quite a bit too. Let me know if you can or can't hear it. I think I clicked share computer sound, and I should be on Zoom audio device. Let's see. Yes, okay. Okay, I can stop about there. Was that outrageously quiet for all of you?
Oh, it was just right. It
No,
was
it's good.
beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful.
Okay, I something about Zoom, or maybe it's the Bluetooth headphones I have, but I tried sharing this in my lesson today too, and it makes it very, very soft for me. So I just wanted to make sure that wasn't the case for you all.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
trick. You have to go to your Zoom preferences on your local machine, and you can turn up the volume there. It's a weird
Okay.
because
Cool. Cool. Yeah.
there's like a
It, like.
separate volume. Yeah, it's really screwed up, but yeah.
Yeah.
No, but it
Cool.
came across beautifully. It was actually a lovely, lovely piece. I really liked what I was hearing.
No, thank you.
Of course, my immediate reaction as to everything is, geez, I would love to make an augmented reality version of that.
Right.
Where
Well, yeah, I felt strange about sharing it in this class, in that it's like as technologically simplistic as possible, if you're speaking strictly of digital technology. But something that I always find comfort in reminding myself is I read a lot of sort of watered down armchair books about paleoanthropology and archaeology, and I'm interested in that. Which is part of what made Joshua Tree an interesting site for me, because there's something very prehistoric about it. But I love how in the study of archaeology they describe things as technology that are obviously not what we think of as technology today, but they describe things like certain stone tools and different types of spears and things like that as technology, because it is. It's just not a digital form of technology.
we can
Yeah.
change that.
Right.
No, lovely piece. Yeah, we should probably move on. Hey, listen, I don't mean to shut down, people if they have some serious stuff. All of you should definitely read. Nicola, you had some good comments. Definitely read the chat, because there's like good things being said about people. Yeah, unless anybody has compelling sort of things, let's move along, because again, I'm looking at the clock here. I don't want to keep you too late. Who'd like to go next? Anybody? Yeah. Candida. Hey, Candida, let me hold off, okay? Because I want to make sure and get the people that are registered for the class first, okay? So let's go. I'm going to say, yeah. How about Justin Shaw? You're in the middle of my screen, so I'm going to pick on you. Do you have anything to say?
Well, I have an idea for a project that I haven't really done that much for yet.
That's fine.
But so I was kind of inspired by like Holst's The Planets, where like he kind of like takes like the astrological like characteristics of each planet and like writes like movements based off of them. So I was thinking like I would try to like pull real time like astrological like data and kind of like find a way to sonify it. I was thinking like for each like zodiac sign, I would write like some type of theme, and then like for each planet, I would like like assign that like to a certain instrument, and then write some algorithm to like I don't know, make it coherent.
That'd be cool. If you're serious about following this up, you should take Ben Holtzman's class next spring, because he will do exactly this kind of thing. I think it's a really great idea, and it'd be fun to have you follow up on it. But yeah, I think yeah, and the idea. There's just a lot of ways you could go with it. Yeah, stay in touch though, because I'd like to see what happens. Because first of all, I like Holst. I think The Planets was one of those. Back when I was an undergraduate, that's a cool piece of music. Yeah, but anyhow, yeah, I'd like to see what you do. All right, I'm going to jump then, and I'm going to go to what happened to the other Justin Chun, who's now right next to you, Justin Shaw. So what do you have to say?
I'm not registered.
Oh, I thought you were. Oh, sorry about that. Okay. I think you used to be, but then you weren't. Okay. All right, no problem. In that case, you're doing better than I thought we were. Chelsea, are you registered or not?
Yeah, I registered, but as we talked previously, I will probably spend my Christmas working on the project.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah. So yeah, again, this is a grad class, so I don't really get to.
Yeah, the class is so inspiring.
Cool. And Jane, I know you had some stuff to say because we chatted quite a bit. Do you want to tell people about what you're up to? I think you're muted. We can't hear you.
She's doing the same thing as Anthony.
How about now?
Yep, there you are. I hear you now. Uh-huh.
How do I share audio then? Like I know share screen, but
Okay. When you go to share, do you want to share your screen and audio or just the audio?
both. Yeah.
Okay. In that case, go to share screen. And when you select your screen, down in the
Oh,
lower
yeah.
left-hand corner, it'll say share computer sound. Click on that
Yeah.
too. Okay.
Okay. 1 second. So I had a whole little presentation mapped out, but I think given like the time constraints right now, maybe that's not a great idea. I'll just kind
Actually,
of like,
yeah, we're in better shape than I thought we were. So go
I'll
for it.
just kind of, here, see,
Yeah,
is
perfect.
this on? So I was just kind of interested in like using neural nets to interpret MIDI in order to generate musical material. And the scope of this project is pretty short, but it's just a larger interest in mine. And a lot of that comes from like David Cope's like Emmy, the Experiments in Musical Intelligence, which was like I think one of the earlier, like one of the biggest sort of, you know, neural net music projects that got attention. So I don't know, I could show a little bit of that, but I don't know if we have time. But basically, yeah, probably not. I'll come back if necessary. But so my laptop broke down like for like the entirety of the project. So a lot of
Oh
it.
yeah, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, she's had serious computer problems. I feel really badly. She's like, oh no. So yeah, go
I
ahead.
didn't
Sorry.
really get to do everything I wanted to do, but I still came out of it with something. Because I was able to kind of actually generate a few pieces using different programs I could find that had some kind of implementation outside of just like a package to use like in Java or Python, because I couldn't use those. Actually, I had a laptop. I was borrowing it, and there were a whole bunch of problems with it, so I wasn't able to set up the proper like Python or Java environment for some reason. But I was able to use like Magenta, which uses TensorFlow, has like some kind of JavaScript implementation that's like on a web app somewhere. This same thing from the same company. And then they've also got like a VST plugin, which I was able to use in Ableton. And this is a mobile app. Anyway, oh, and the main thing that I use is this thing called MuseNet, which, yeah, like they had some kind of web app that I could use. And so I was able to like create like a short little piece with this one that's kind of a mix of like rock, Chopin, and a little bit of Bach. And I was actually able to get a friend of mine at Rice to just like record it. So I'll just, oh, wait. Okay, is it loud enough? Can you really hear it? Oh, okay. Oh, shoot, sorry. Okay. So I mean, like, it's not great, but it is definitely music, which, you know, is definitely an improvement, because one of the funniest things, like in the past, has usually been that we're like, with these types of these types of neural nets, like, you know, the harmonies will be there, um, you know, the sort of chord voicings and all that, but like, really the number one thing where things fall apart is just like, there's just like no sense of melody or structure. And this like, this new sort of program from MuseNet is, I don't know, I was reading about it. They have some special mechanism for sort of the long-term memory of it as it's composing this thing, to ensure that there is structure and that there are kind of repeating melodic figures. And it's kind of like stepped up the game to where it actually really sounds like, you know, actual pieces. And yeah, I was just kind of blown away, because like I was sort of, you know, like curating and directing this, but it was, you know, and then I had to like spend hours transcribing it, which is the hard part. But it's, I mean, it amazes me that like, it had a structure on its own. Like I didn't, it made that switch to the sort of B section on its own. I think I stopped it after the B section. I was like, okay, I'll just like kind of copy paste the A section. But yeah, it was amazing how it did that on its own. Even
I was blown away too. Yeah, I thought it was really impressive. Good grief. I mean, yeah, that, and you identified that's been one of the biggest problems, is the idea of some kind of a large scale form with a lot of the AI approaches, because they tend to focus on just imitating a particular minutia part of a piece of music, and then they'll just kind of like just sort of cookie cutter that in a weird way, you know. But that actually, it had a real nice arch to it. I mean, you know, and everything. And I love that giant cadence in the middle of it. That was pretty fun. So yeah, I think you got something pretty interesting happening here. Good grief, I had no idea.
All right.
So
I
you're trying to make all those composers
I
obsolete.
have one question about it. I find this very interesting, and I was also really thinking that actually working with something like that would be the next step for the project that I was just presenting before. Did you find any way of implementing this into Max? Because I was trying to find if there's anything I can download from MuseNet, but I don't really see it.
Nicola, Jane, unless you have an answer, I think I can answer that. Okay.
Okay.
I was noticing that the two of the packages were JavaScript. You should be able to use the JavaScript object in Max.
Yes, that's possible. That's also
to kind of wrap the thing.
Exactly.
The magenta.
I mean, that's what the Magenta people are doing, is JavaScript.
Yeah, and I've been trying to do it just in Max, like you say, and it's been really, really difficult. So I'll probably go the Java route as well, or at least try to.
I've just installed like the latest version of Max, like Max 8, and now it supports the panels of Node, so it basically like increases like its like capabilities in JavaScript as well. So it should, or it could be like, I mean, if it's not like Max 7, Max 8 could do it, I think.
The JavaScript is definitely very limited though. Like it's like easy to create something like, but I think you have a lot less, it's a lot less, you have a lot less control over it.
It's not the full thing.
Kinda, yeah.
I see.
So, but how was your working process with it now? I mean, did you download the algorithm from Usenet and do this in TensorFlow, or how did you work it out?
The whole thing is like, that's what I had intended to do, and then like I spilled water on my computer and it was like gone for like the entire time span of the project. So yeah, I think going forward I want to be able to do that, because I think a lot of what I'm interested in is really being able to exert control over like what data is being, drawn upon, and like how, like, and being able to sort of customize that. And here it was more to sort of like, what I was doing essentially to like, kind of create something would just be like taking something from one thing and then just feeding it into another thing. So that was sort of a back and forth a little bit between the magenta. Like, I think the magenta created like the sort of opening figure, and then the Musenet kind of ran with that. Yeah, definitely. If you can use the TensorFlow, do it, because yeah, I think like I was really happy with this, but I also feel like this is kind of like the kind of as far as you can get without actually, working with the packages and making them your own. Yeah.
Yeah, it's never as easy as it seems like it ought to be, but hey, that's life. Cool though, that's really impressive. Yeah, that's really impressive. Hey, I think I've gotten everybody that's been registered in my class. Have I missed anybody? I don't think so. I had now. There's two people that wrote me on the chat, or yeah, that have some stuff they could present. Yoshi has some things that would be kind of fun, and Candida's got, she's always got amazing things to show. We got a little bit of time left. To tell you what, Yoshi, can you show your stuff in like 5 minutes or so? You're muted. You're still muted.
There you go.
There you go. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's really going to be really short because as much as I've enjoyed auditing this class, in fact, I too was busy here in Missouri teaching the computer-assisted composition software, Open Music, and but actually I thought it would be kind of fun to show something that's somewhat related to what the seminar was talking about in terms of certain software program talking to some other. Well, this is not going to be computer talking to other computer kind of thing, but it's within the computer. Namely, so as I said just now, I was spending this semester teaching open music to the undergrad and grad students here at the University of Missouri. And one of the, it's been done obviously, even at Columbia, like quite many years ago, in fact, with, I believe, Jonathan Lee was teaching, in fact, long ago, like 20 years ago or so. But one of the things that I realized at the time when I was starting to generate materials to teach, this was back in the summer, I realized that there was actually no playback mechanism available. Well, there was, in fact, there is a really good one developed by this fellow, Ruben Sverre Geertsen, but it's a great playback mechanism that you can set to have the playback of the open music materials. But then I wanted to actually produce create something that allowed on the Max, either on the Max application or the self-standing application itself, that was a bit more less cumbersome, because for the purpose of just hearing the playback, I only had to use just one sound font. And so so I actually did develop something that was that I in fact encouraged my students to use, and it seemed to work really well. And hold on a sec, where is it? It's right somewhere. Oh, there it is. So it's this little thing, what you see here, which I made into an application, of course, and you can download it on my website or whatever if you are interested. Anyway, what it does is that it uses the UDP, the usergram data, the protocol, was it? And it's part of the OSC, which this seminar covered. And so what it does is that it sends the info from OpenMusic into the YO or micro this thing, and then it just plays back the notes or whatever, and it handles all the way up to the 1/16th tones, which is what OpenMusic is capable of doing. Designing of it was pretty. Well, I did get some kind of hint from the Gertsen's Michael player there, but basically what it is that by splitting the channels into different degrees of the pitch bending, it's set to different degree of pitch bending. So, for example, like if you're to set the quarter tone playback, you would the certain quarter tone playback thing would be sent to different channel of the same sound font, so that it would play these microtones in a really smooth way without having a kind of a conflict of C and C just being canceling each other kind of thing. And so anyway, it was something of a little older project of mine, because this I basically finished before I started to audit this class and all that. But I thought it was very interesting, and in fact, thanks to this class, in fact, I was awakened to some of the more of a intensive code programming or some sorts, where I used this is a little thing about Common Lisp, and I decided to patch a little bit of in this case 1D cellular automata, which I made a realization of. This one is a Sierpinski triangle thing, and so basically I programmed this particular thing that you see the code of, and I realized that on the OpenMusic here, and you can evaluate it, you can see that this is like a list of numbers that 1 and 0 representing on and off, and it kind of starts to look like Sierpinski's triangle. But I mean, I don't mean to make your eyes bleed or whatever, because it's too short and too small.
Yoshi, we lost you.
Oops, sorry, I got kicked off. Sorry about that. Anyway, all I can say is that I think that I've gathered enough inspiration, and all of you are very inspiring. In fact, with all these creative projects, so it's for me. I would use these different sort of algorithmic composition for something that is not on the immediate level, but something that is really integrated into the compositional system that I am working. So for me to use these different programs or what have you, it will probably be until fairly late. But now I kind of consider this as a kind of a building block to something more interesting, I think. So that was really it I wanted to show. That's
cool.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna jump to Candida, and I should tell you, I'm going to ask her to come and do a presentation to my graduate seminar in the spring, because she's working directly with the VR stuff. And then if we have time, Annie Nikkonen has said she's got something she could show real quick if people could kind of hang out a little bit. But Candida, what do you got to show us?
Right. Okay, so I want to show a little bit of a failure of something that went bad. Everybody's showing like things that went well, but I want to, because I want to hear some thoughts. So I presented in the beginning of this year, right, my VR work that was released in September last year. Then we started like a world tour, amazing, full of exhibitions. Then COVID came, and VR headsets are the last thing we will be able to wear in our lives, right? So then I had to let me start a presentation here very fast. I want to show this. Okay, so I want to show this here. You guys can see my screen? Okay. Yes, okay, great. So that's a presentation that I have. I presented this last week at the Frameless Symposium. So here we start with virtual reality work, and that I would be happy to present you live. We had, so then here's some images of the work. So that's the first one. So the first application was developed in Unity, designed for Oculus, has all sections fully immersive and interactive. It uses ambisonic sound. It has high resolution image, and it is presented as a performative installation. Then COVID came and our plans were destroyed. Then I applied for a grant and I got a commissioned work to transform this work into an online option. The thing was that I didn't want just to make the application downloadable because this is my PhD thesis. Then I didn't want, because of course I like legal problems to have people have that. And so I said, okay, so we need to develop something different. So the first thing that we did was to develop the WebGL option. So the WebGL, so I make a comparison here. So it was also developed in Unity. So it has a similar structure, was the easiest way to make the transition. So it's not for Oculus anymore. Now it's for web. So now I have the limitation that it only run in computers, not in phones, for example. So sections were fully immersive and interactive, as well as in the WebGL. We have ambisonic sound. The WebGL, we couldn't make it work with ambisonic sound, so I came back to binaural sound. I don't know if Red has a solution for that.
Working on it, working on it. I hope to have one at the end of the holiday break, okay?
Okay, cool. Then we had high resolution image. Then we couldn't have high resolution image. They had to lower all the resolutions because the loading time was getting immense. And you know, for somebody visiting online, we tried to make that maximum 2 minutes. And then it was not, we didn't have the installations anymore, how to make an installation online. So we developed something that was creating specific time for visiting the work, not as a website. So then we started having these issues here. We released the exhibition and the issues were unknown incompatibilities with some machines. For example, in my machine, I never could make this WebGL work. A lot of people watched that. I couldn't watch my own work. It was only for computers, not for mobile devices. So we lost some possibilities of festival, things like this that were designed for the phone, and that was not nice. And then also this low loading time, 1.5 minutes with a very good speed of internet. And that was already a problem for us. And then it was an independent thing because it was fully customizable. So then because of these incompatibilities and we couldn't reach portable things, I decided to go for a third version. So I came for a version that I designed inside our website. So it was developed inside WordPress using YouTube links. So it was a crazy thing. So we found a kind of we bought, I forgot how to say this in English, a plantilla. I don't know if there is any English, Spanish speaker here that can help me. A template on WordPress that I could upload all that. And that's the one that I'm going to show right now. Now it became for web and computers, computers and Android devices. Apple is still not helping with iPhones for that because of the discussion. Now I'm sick about this, like YouTube doesn't run here now, not Safari, not this, not that. So you have to be limiting your work on a million limitations around these things. So we could come back to the idea of the ambisonic sound. I forgot this here. Interactive menus, but non-immersive menu, and the videos, yes, are immersive. So I was losing in some in terms of immersion of videos and was the quality of the sound, the quality of the image. Here I could come back to high resolution image thanks to YouTube that has a very fast system to load the systems in high speed and also in ambisonic sound that was very good. Non-performative installation also. Then I reduced the incompatibilities to only iOS. Now all computers and mobiles, they were Android mobiles, they were working. It was very good. Now before I had 1.5 minutes as a WebGL. Now I have few seconds and the work is already loading. But then I am dependent on YouTube features. For example, sometimes the menu pops up of YouTube and then it damages my immersion here. I'm going to show here a little bit of the work. So that's how it starts. I have a menu here starting. I can drop the link here if you want to watch. This work is only visited on special exhibitions that they have planned time to happen. So when I click, oh, I am in Safari. Oh gosh, it's already going to give me a hard time. It starts with an animation that shows the concept of the work that is about the human global journey. This is the history of Homo sapiens walking around the planet to form our transcultural humanity. That's us. Starting from Africa to reach the Americas. And these are the places that we have nowadays. Should I continue, Brad? Can I open my video?
Yeah. I mean, if people
Should I
have to go,
stop
they
here?
have to go. If people have to go, they have to go. But we can keep on going, and we can watch a bit of
I'll,
Annie
I'll just
after this.
I'll
Okay,
just open
perfect.
one very fast
Thank
here,
you. And again,
just to see how
Candida,
it
this
goes.
is wonderful because I definitely want you to present this in my seminar next fall, next spring, I
Sure.
think, too.
I already have the fourth version, the hubs room. We are working on the hubs room right now on Mozilla, and then everything changed again. Then just loading one, so you make the zoom on the map. And here is one of the cities that we are. So it loads clearly too, doesn't it? The sound is running now, right? It's being shared? Yes? Okay, cool. Oh, just because I
Unfortunately,
said the resolution was high, it's going bad. Tell me.
right. Unfortunately, the sound's in
Okay.
mono because of Zoom, so we can't hear the ambisonics, I'm afraid.
Oh, I see. Yeah, so this is one of the work that, of course, when you are inside of your headset, I give the idea of immersion into a transcultural place that I can really have that. And I'm discussing this in articles, how immersive we can really be when we are online. Although ambisonics tried the best, but of course I am limited to small screen. So I'm discussing this. My next chapter for the next seminar, I'll have already the fourth layer, which is the hubs room, that I think it made it more interesting. So I show like all the weak points of the project. Would love to hear if you have any solution, especially for the WebGL that doesn't work well for us.
Again, I'm gonna work on it over the break. I'm not sure I can get any good solutions because there are significant problems. But you know, hey, we'll work with what we got.
I worked 4 months only on that.
I know. That doesn't give me
Crazy.
hope.
Well, maybe they did something different now. Let's see if there is something more interesting. Okay, thank you.
Sure. Well, thanks a lot. Okay, Annie, what do you got to show us? Real quick.
Yes, I'll be real quick. So yeah, in addition to being, just as a bit of context, in addition to being a composer and a flutist, I'm also a dancer and a choreographer. So I'm very into like movement being the sound source rather than usually like it's the other way around where you know, dancers kind of just like there's a piece and choreographers use it, and I like I'm sort of working on doing a motion capture sort of thing, and so the piece I'll play a little bit of is sort of like a precursor to that. I was playing around with some max patches and was sort of inspired by some of the data that was coming out, and so this is almost like a manual version of that where I had I multi-track myself on flute, and I sort of like do there's a lot of gestures that sort of reflect sonically the movements I do, and it's kind of based on the max patch data, but like I said, it's sort of like a precursor to more more direct motion capture I want to do. So I'll share my screen. Let's see, share computer sound. Okay, all right, can you see my screen? Great, okay. Can you hear this? Awesome. So I'll just play like a little bit of it. So just as another little context thing, I created this series called Pas de sans une, which is dance for two without one. And it sort of reflects this idea during COVID that, you know, I realized like I can't partner anybody, I can't dance with anybody, or I couldn't, especially at the beginning of COVID. And so I started partnering inanimate things or intangible things that ended up being. So that's why I'm partnering passing time here. And I was thinking about time as kind of like a substance, a malleable, flexible thing to possibly like dance with. And so I was thinking about that in sound as well. So, okay, here's a little bit of the piece. gist of it. And also, I thought I'd add in, part of this had field recordings in it, and also I was fooling around on the Eurorack in the CMC about 6 months ago, and I kind of fell in love with the stuff that came out of that. So the sounds weirdly sort of like aligned with the stuff I wrote for myself on flute, and I was like, ooh, I gotta put that together. So.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, Annie, I'm noticing that's YouTube. Could you throw the link to your stuff? I've seen some of it via
Sure.
Facebook, but I think other people might get a kick out of it. And I've got a quick question for you. What kind of a motion capture technology were you using?
So I didn't use particularly like a set motion capture thing for this. This was more kind of like a manual inspiration. But in terms of with Max, I was even talking with Zasha about like Wekinator and stuff like that. So I was sort of like exploring these different things. And yeah, if any of you have any suggestions in terms of like really good patches for that or anything, I'm all ears.
Right. Actually, I don't. That's why I was asking you.
Yeah, I'm on the search for it. So.
Oh well. Yeah.
The Mubu package in Max has incredible motion capture and sound production implementations.
Awesome. I'll look into that for sure.
Well, yikes, gang. We made it just barely, barely over the time. I hope I didn't cut anybody off too much because, like I said, I suddenly realized we're going to run out of time. Once again, I got to say, I'm just kind of blown away. I mean, this always just, we just have the best students in the world here at Columbia, the best people working, go Lions, No, everything is really cool. If you're interested next semester, again, I'll be doing this, but we're going to be doing a lot more focus on Unity and VR, and hopefully, getting some of the web context like Candida was talking about going, and see where we can get with it. Write me email if you want to know more specifics. I'll be firming up the whole syllabus over the break. Yeah, if you're interested in auditing, again, that's fine too. We've also got a few other classes, as I've mentioned, Ben Holtzman, who's been kind of a lurker here periodically. He'll be doing his class. Owner's going to be his TA on big data and data sonification. They also use a lot of machine learning techniques and things like that. That meets on Thursday evenings, 5:30 to 8 p.m. Eastern. That'll be completely virtual too. Seth is offering his instrument building class, which is great fun. He's going to do it hybrid so that people can come in and work with the tools. That's going to be Monday nights, I think it's 6 p.m. Eastern. David Adamczyk is going to be teaching class on Monday mornings at 10 a.m. about creating a composition with mixed media involved and what's required of the structuring of that. And finally, we have
real quick, because I talked to David about his class, and the first half of his class is not about like composing your own works. It's more about like doing live sound and like mediation for other people's mixed media works. So by signing up for his class, you also sign up to be like sound crew for the like Columbia Young Composers Concert or something like that.
Good thing you got in touch with him, because that sounds like it's not particularly something. Well,
and then the second half of the course is what you just said, right? Where it's talking about composing with mixed media and DSP, etc.
Right. It's a fun class. I've heard good things about it. Yeah. So you can check it out.
I still think I'm probably going to take it, but just so people know that like the first half is like a live sound kind of thing.
Which actually has proven to be a source of income for a number of people from the CMC in New York. David Adamczyk, for example, Sam Pluta, that's how he earned his living for a while, doing live sound. And finally, Zasha DeCastri is offering a class that, Annie, you probably know about this. It's her movement and dance class that she does, I think, in collaboration with a faculty member from Barnard. And yeah, that's I've heard wonderful things about that class too. So yeah, write to any of us, if you want more information about these things. And yeah, this is fun class. It kept me on my toes because I had no idea what I was doing most of the time. And I really want to thank Owner for the unit on machine learning, because I think that could easily have been a complete class on its own. Because yeah, some of the techniques, like what Jane showed us, it's just astounding what you're able to accomplish now. And yeah, I want to think about integrating more of that in the future. Hey gang, that's it. everybody have good, safe holidays. You know, hopefully we're on the downward side now of this COVID stuff, and I hope to see some of you back in New York again soon. And yeah, have a good holiday.
Thanks a lot.
Alrighty.
Thank you, Brad.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For everything.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye. Jane, if you're trying to talk to us, I can't hear you.
I just use the mic.
Maybe we should stop recording.
Oh yeah.
It's still recording.
Thanks. Okay.